A touching story about Umar ibn al-Khattab. One night, during his caliphate, Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, went out to patrol the streets of Medina. He often did this to make sure his people were safe and cared for. As he walked, he noticed a small house with a faint light inside. He heard the sound of children crying. Umar approached quietly and saw a woman sitting by a pot on the fire. The children were crying from hunger, and the woman was trying to calm them down. Umar asked her gently, "What is happening here?" The woman, not recognizing him, replied, "My children are hungry. I have nothing to feed them, so I am boiling water to make them think food is coming. Maybe they will fall asleep." Umar's heart trembled. He asked, "Why haven't you asked the caliph for help?" She said bitterly, "The caliph should know the condition of his people without being told." Umar's eyes filled with tears. He immediately went to the treasury, filled a sack with flour, meat and oil, and carried it on his own back. His servant offered to carry it, but Umar refused, saying, "Will you carry my burden on the day of judgment?" He returned to the woman's house, cooked the food himself, and watched as the children ate and smiled. Only then did he leave quietly, without revealing who he was. That night, the leader of the Muslims carried food on his back and tears in his eyes, a true example of humility, justice, and compassion. Story about Umar ibn al-Khattab. During the caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, the city of Medina was known for its justice, simplicity, and compassion. Umar was not only a powerful leader, but also a man of deep humility and concern for his people. He believed that leadership was a trust, and that every ruler would be held accountable before Allah for the welfare of those under his care. One of the most touching stories from his life beautifully illustrates his sense of responsibility and mercy. One quiet night, Umar decided to walk through the streets of Medina, as he often did, to see how his people were living. He preferred to see things with his own eyes rather than rely on reports from others. The night was calm, and the stars shone brightly over the city. As he walked, he noticed a small house at the edge of the town. A dim light flickered inside, and the faint sound of children crying reached his ears. Concerned, Umar approached the house and stood outside for a moment, listening. The cries of the children were filled with hunger and pain. He knocked gently on the door, and a tired voice answered. A woman appeared, her face weary and her clothes simple. Umar greeted her and asked, "What is happening here? Why are your children crying?" The woman, not recognizing him as the caliph, replied with sadness, "They are hungry. I have nothing to feed them. I have placed a pot of water on the fire to make them think that food is being cooked. Perhaps they will fall asleep waiting." Umar's heart trembled at her words. He asked softly, "Why have you not asked the caliph for help?" The woman sighed and said, "The caliph should know the condition of his people without being told." Her words struck Umar deeply. He realized that somewhere in his city, a mother and her children were suffering while he, the leader, had not known. Without saying another word, Umar turned and hurried to the treasury. He filled a sack with flour, meat, and oil. His servant, Aslam, who was with him, offered to carry the sack, but Umar refused. "No, Aslam," he said firmly. "Will you carry my burden on the day of judgment?" He lifted the heavy sack onto his own back and walked through the dark streets until he reached the woman's house again. When he arrived, he placed the food before her and began to prepare the meal himself. He lit the fire, cooked the food, and served it to the children with his own hands. The children began to eat eagerly, their faces lighting up with joy. Umar watched them with tears in his eyes, his heart filled with both relief and humility. When the children finally fell asleep, full and content, Umar quietly left the house. The woman never knew that the man who had helped her that night was the caliph himself. Umar walked away into the darkness, whispering prayers for forgiveness and guidance. This story remains one of the most powerful examples of true leadership. A leader who carried food on his back for the hungry, who ruled with justice and compassion, and who never forgot that power is a trust, not a privilege. Umar ibn al-Khattab's legacy continues to inspire hearts across generations, reminding the world that greatness lies in service, humility, and mercy.